Imagine a rain-slicked London pavement where a lone figure stands by a taxi, clutching a single suitcase and looking nothing like the royalty she was born into. There was no security detail, no flashing motorcade, and no palace gates to retreat behind. This was Princess Beatrice, the woman once hailed as the king's secret weapon, caught in a moment of such raw vulnerability that it sent shockwaves through the royal press. What the cameras captured wasn't just a rare sighting, it was a glimpse into a hidden crisis that has been brewing for months behind the thick stone walls of the palace. For years, Beatrice was the one person Prince William felt he could truly rely on when the world felt like it was closing in. They weren't just cousins. They were survivors of the same storm, both firstborns who watched their fathers fall from grace in the most public way imaginable. That shared trauma forged a bond that many believed was unbreakable. In fact, the quiet corridors of the palace were buzzing with the belief that Beatrice would be the one to step up and save the monarchy when the workload became too much for the king to handle alone. But as 2024 shifted into a year of health crises and mounting pressure, the cracks in that alliance finally began to show. While the public saw her co-hosting garden parties and standing tall at Christmas, a hidden struggle for control was already unfolding. Insiders revealed that while she was publicly supporting the king, she was privately being handed a high-stakes ultimatum that would change her life forever. It was a request so personal and so invasive that it felt less like an invitation and more like a trap. Before we go further into the secret meeting that changed everything, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join our community. We're constantly tracking the stories the palace won't tell you, and we'd love to have you with us for every chapter of this royal mystery. The tension reached a breaking point during a secret meeting at Adelaide Cottage, where the future of the York family was laid on the line. Prince William and Catherine reportedly presented a proposal that left no room for negotiation. It was a clean slate policy, but it came with a price that Beatrice wasn't sure she was willing to pay. As the pressure mounted, she had to make an impossible choice: remain a loyal soldier to the crown or protect the secrets her family had spent decades trying to hide. Just as the world thought the York sisters were finally being welcomed back into the inner circle, a single no echoed through the palace walls. It was a refusal that triggered a series of events nobody saw coming, and the reason for that refusal is exactly where this story takes a dark and unexpected turn. The true reason for the collapse of this royal alliance isn't just a single event, but a secret demand that surfaced in early 2026. Allegedly, Prince William decided that if the York sisters were to have any future within the firm, they first had to undergo a process of total transparency. It is claimed that the Prince of Wales requested a forensic audit of their private financial records, a deep dive into their bank accounts and funding sources that stretched back over a decade. For years, rumors have indicated that the lifestyle of the York family was supported by a complex web of private wealth, much of which was linked to their father's controversial associates. William's reported ultimatum was simple: open the books, prove the money is clean, and earn your place at the center of the monarchy. But for Beatrice and Eugenie, this wasn't just about accounting, it was a matter of autonomy. Insiders suggest they viewed the demand as an invasive attempt to control their private lives. Suspense mounted as the sisters reportedly stood their ground, asserting that their income from technology and consultancy was their own business. But while they fought for their independence, the clock was ticking on a much larger problem. In March 2026, a fresh wave of documents from the old Epstein files began to circulate, reportedly containing references to travel expenses and social circles that the palace had hoped would remain buried. The timing couldn't have been worse. Just as Beatrice was carving out a role as a trusted advisor, these new reports suggested that the shadow of the past was longer than anyone admitted. It is believed that this financial standoff became the final straw for William. He wasn't just looking for honesty, he was looking for a reason to draw a permanent line between his reign and the scandals of the previous generation. The rejection of the audit wasn't just a no to a set of papers, it was a declaration of independence that carried a heavy price. Within weeks, The polite smiles at public events began to vanish, replaced by a cold distance that reached its peak at Royal Ascot. And as the sisters found themselves physically pushed to the outskirts of the royal circle, a new and even more shocking decree was about to be issued, one that would target their very identities as princesses. In early 2026, the fragile peace between the York sisters and the palace didn't just crack, it shattered completely. Allegedly, a new directive was issued that sent shockwaves through the inner circle, a formal ban on Beatrice and Eugenie appearing in any public-facing capacity for the foreseeable future. Reports suggest the trigger was yet another wave of documents linking the sisters' past travels to the very controversies their father was currently battling. This wasn't just about optics. It was a deliberate attempt to distance the future of the monarchy from any lingering shadows. The fallout was visible almost immediately, starting at the ultimate litmus test for royal status, Royal Ascot. For decades, the carriage procession has signaled who truly belongs in the inner sanctum. But as the 2026 season approached, insiders say the sisters were told their seats had been revoked. Beatrice was reportedly blindsided by the move, having spent years carefully rebuilding her reputation as a modern, hard-working member of the family. Rumors indicate that Prince William even went a step further, advising other senior royals to avoid being photographed with the pair for the remainder of the year to ensure the distance was felt by the public. This icy separation grew even more apparent in May 2026. While William and Catherine led the first Buckingham Palace garden party of the year, the York sisters were conspicuously absent from the heart of the institution. Instead, they were reportedly seen blocks away, pivoting toward a life that looked very different from the one they were born into. It was a clear signal that the invisible alliance had been replaced by a wall of silence. But while some expected the sisters to fade quietly into the background, they were actually preparing a response that would prove they were no longer playing by the palace's rules. While the world watched the future king draw a line in the sand, a different story was unfolding inside the private study of King Charles. Allegedly, the monarch does not share his son's scorched earth policy when it comes to the York sisters. Reports suggest that while William is focused on a clean break, Charles remains deeply protective of his nieces. Insiders say the king has quietly resisted the push to completely exile them, believing that the sins of the father should not permanently stain the lives of the children. This difference in philosophy has created a fascinating, high-stakes tug-of-war at the very top of the monarchy. On one side, you have a future king who believes survival depends on total distance from scandal. On the other, a present king who values family loyalty and individual merit. It is claimed that in late March 2026, a secret invitation to Royal Ascot was actually extended to Beatrice and Eugenie directly from the king's office, effectively bypassing William's earlier decree. But rumors indicate that Beatrice has stopped waiting for the men in her life to decide her fate. According to sources, she and Eugenie have made a secret vow to push back hard if their royal privileges or titles are threatened. It is even believed they have sought preliminary legal advice to protect their standing, a move that hasn't been seen since the early days of the Sussex departure. The tension is no longer just a palace rumor. It's a visible rift that is redefining the family dynamic. As of May 2026, Beatrice has reportedly begun to pivot her public image entirely, distancing herself from the working royal drama to focus on her growing influence in the global tech sector. Insiders suggest she is preparing to prove that she is more than just a supporting character in the royal drama. She is becoming a powerhouse in her own right, building a life that the palace can neither grant nor take away. This new path didn't just change her career, it set the stage for a confrontation that would force King Charles to choose between his son's cold strategy and his own family loyalty. Beatrice is leaning heavily into her role as the Princess of Tech. Since late 2025, she has served as a director and major shareholder of Purpose Economy Intelligence Limited, a venture co-founded with a World Economic Forum executive. Insiders say this company isn't just a side project, it is her safety net. It is claimed that Beatrice has been quietly building a financial fortress, that would make any future attempts by William to strip her of her standing completely irrelevant. By building a career and a tech venture that doesn't depend on palace approval, she has become the first royal of her generation to truly find independence. But as she gains independence, the stakes for the monarchy are getting even higher. Rumors indicate that the York sisters have held serious discussions about seeking legal advice to protect their titles and access to royal properties. They are allegedly preparing for a standoff that could force a permanent wedge between the present king and his heir. While the palace was closing its doors, Beatrice and Eugenie were already opening new ones, showing they were no longer playing by the old rules. If there was ever a moment that proved the York sisters were no longer asking for permission to exist, it happened on a Thursday night in May 2026. While the palace was reportedly buzzing with talk of slimmed-down roles and restrictive decrees, Beatrice and Eugenie were spotted at one of the most exclusive celebrity gatherings of the decade. The setting was Poppy de Levingne's 40th birthday bash in London, but the real headline wasn't the birthday girl. It was the fact that the princesses were sharing the room with American pop royalty, Taylor Swift, and her fiancé, Travis Kelce. For those who understand royal optics, this was a massive, unscripted power move. While Prince William was reportedly trying to keep the sisters on the outskirts of the royal brand, they were busy merging their social circle with the most influential entertainers on the planet. Seeing the engaged couple, Taylor and Travis, at the same event as the York sisters sent a clear message to the world. The princesses don't need a balcony appearance to remain relevant. They are building a new kind of royal court, one that is fueled by global influence and modern celebrity rather than ancient protocols and palace approval. But this isn't just about high-profile parties and A-list friendships. Behind the scenes, the stakes have shifted from social status to legal survival. Rumors have reached a boiling point that Beatrice and Eugenie are actually consulting with high-level legal teams to protect their future. Sources claim they are seeking advice on how to secure their royal titles and their rights to royal residences, fearing that a future under Prince William might see them stripped of everything they've known. It's a move that echoes the most dramatic chapters of royal history, a direct challenge to the authority of the heir to the throne. As the rift between the cousins deepens, the sisters are no longer playing defense. They are building a fortress, both legally and socially, to ensure they can never be fully erased from the narrative. The quiet, obedient daughters of the York household have been replaced by two women who are ready to fight for their place in the sun. And as we look at the final chapter of this unfolding drama, we have to wonder, is this the end of the Yorks' influence, or is it the beginning of a modern royal rebellion that will change the monarchy forever? Before we reveal the stunning final strategy that Beatrice has put into motion, we want to hear from you. Do you think William is right to distance himself from his cousins to protect the throne? Or has the palace gone too far? Drop a comment below and let us know your thoughts. We read every single one. The story of Princess Beatrice in 2026 is a masterclass in survival. We've seen the reported last chance offer that was rejected, the financial audit that sparked a standoff, and the silent decrees that physically moved her to the outskirts of royal life. What started as a childhood bond with Prince William has transformed into a strategic divide that will eventually define the next reign. As it stands, we are witnessing a clash between two visions for the monarchy, one held by a father who believes in redemption and family loyalty, and the other by a son who believes that total distance from scandal is the only way for the throne to survive. Beatrice has made her choice, and it's neither of theirs. By building a career and a tech venture that doesn't depend on palace approval, she has become the first royal of her generation to truly find independence. Whether this is the end of the Yorks' influence or the beginning of a modern royal rebellion remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, the woman caught with that suitcase wasn't leaving her family behind. She was just moving into her own future. We're constantly tracking the stories the palace won't tell you, so hit that subscribe button and join our channel to make sure you never miss the next chapter. Drop a comment below and tell us, do you think William is right to distance himself from his cousins, or has the palace gone too far? We'd love to hear your thoughts.